1, 2, 3, 4. Test. Good evening and welcome to the Melbourne ATV Net, which is held every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Just a bit of audio feedback there. I'm Neil, VK3BCU, and for those who don't know, I'm in a suburb called Delahaye, which is next to Sydenham, which is next to St Albans, also not far from the Water Gardens shopping centre, also not far from the Calder Raceway, so that should give you an idea of where I am. About 60 kilometres, or at least it was 60 kilometres from the repeater when it was at Mount Dandenong, but I think it's probably about 40 now. People who have checked in this evening is Steve, VK3TTF, and Mark, VK3PI. So first up this evening will be Richard, VK3VRS, so please get ready to switch across to RTV1, and when Richard is finished he'll put it back to me, and then I'll call in Mick, VK3CH, and John, VK3ATV. If you're wondering what that is, there, it's my little DJI mic, which is connected to my DJI Osmo 3 camera, so that's what I'll be using in the future for my my microphone. So if you're ready to go, Richard, if you want to come up on RTV1 right now, everyone please switch across to RTV1 right now, if I can get the right slide, which I haven't. So.
Yes, good evening. I just got back to my seat just in time to hear that. So, yeah, the magic of television. Anyway, welcome everyone. Just so you know, I'm opposite side of the city. I'm in Berwick, and I'm about 26 kilometres from the repeater. But I have got very clear line of sight to it, so there's absolutely nothing in the way. Maybe a tree or two, but that'd be about it. But yeah, not much affects my signal, so I'm quite fortunate. Tonight I'm transmitting on DVB-S. I do have T, and yeah, that's my T transmitter. I'm sure everyone's seen them. Just the high dads. So that's the model number. Oh, look, there's me in the background. So yeah, so that's pretty much what a lot of us have got. And John, who's on a bit later, he's actually, I'm pretty sure he'll be transmitting on one of those. And if Clint does actually make it, and we hear from Clint, he's definitely on it, so I know that. They're actually quite good. Still very readily available as far as I'm aware, and you get a programming cable with it as well, so makes it quite easy to set up. My plans for this, I'm actually going to be taking it out of this case and putting it in its own case along with my an amplifier and whatnot, and probably going to make this portable as well, because of the amount of frequencies that this does. Can go up to 2.4 gig, so, and down to 400. It makes it very versatile. So it's going to be in its own box with, in fact, I've actually got this now, one of the projects that I've got in store. Should never do this sort of stuff on live TV without being prepared, but that opened quite successfully. So it's just a little switch, so that I'll be able to switch in different amplifiers, so that'll come after that. And I've even got, after my cleanup, I've got two little amplifiers, so obviously a 23 centimetre one and a 2.4. So I'm starting to get it all ready to go. So I hopefully will have that together in the not too distant future. So that's one of the many projects that I've got there to do. And talking about projects, a great place to get projects very frequently is at Hamfest, and just so pretty sure the only one that we've got left now in VK3 land here will be down in the peninsula. I go every year. I hate to miss it. It's a good little one. It's nice drive down the peninsula. I've spent a lot of my youth on the peninsula, so I know it quite well. And yeah, looking forward to that coming along. So just as a reminder, this is one from a couple of years ago. Might have been last year. I can't even remember when it was. I should have looked up the date. Not very prepared. But anyway, I'll put it on and I'll see you shortly. A lot quieter now. A bit easier to walk around and film. Bargains. Buy a bag and fill it. It's like an hour in or something. Yeah. Air traffic, how did you find it? It's amazing who you run into at these Hamfests. Fellow ATVer.
wind up on 705.
How are we, Mick?
We never have too many radios.
Thank you.
Lots of antennas. Still a bit crowded. There's some more stuff going on. Plenty to do.
For live news on the planets, cosmology, sunspots and more, every Friday at 10 p.m. Clint VK3CSJ presents the Astronomical Society of Victoria broadcast on this amateur television repeater, VK3RTV Channel 1.
Probably pay to have some audio too. Yeah, anyway, that's just a bit of a reminder. And of course, we saw a couple of people that we'll see tonight, in fact. So, yeah, currently we have 16 people watching on YouTube and no one on Discord tonight, which is a bit unusual. Not sure where everyone is. Maybe they're running a bit late. But hello to all those. Haven't had a chance yet to acknowledge everyone. Caught on the hop a little bit. I've got a new job now, and yeah, I finish a little bit later. My hours are sort of longer hours than we used to do. So yeah, I'm not getting home until nearly 6 o'clock, and yeah, not a lot of time to prepare stuff. So, but anyway, I'm not sure if Clint is there, but I haven't heard him call, so I'm assuming.
I can come up after you, Richard.
Okay, there's Clint. So I'm sure Neil won't mind me taking control and sending. Or do you want? I just saw Neil come back. Neil, did you want me to hand over to Clint?
All good.
Yep. Okay. So after me, we've got Clint, who will enlighten us on all his happenings that he's been doing. So I will go to my test card, and Clint, if you start transmitting now, I'm sure hopefully by the time the T kicks in, I'll have switched off. So thank you everyone for watching tonight, and look forward to seeing you next week, and bye for now.
Oh, that didn't work. It doesn't matter. Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, shut up. Hello everyone, VK3CSJ in Narre South here. I was just finishing off my microwave roast dinner, and still got the orange juice here to consume as well. No ice cream tonight. I finished that last night. Anyway, not much to report. just thought I'd come up and say g'day. The only thing that really transpired on the weekend was the installation, the installation of the equatorial mount for the telescope in the dome. And I've got 3 pictures here which I very quickly transferred across via email from the mobile phone to my email account. It's the quickest way of transferring pictures across. Trying to work out the orientation of this picture, but anyway, I'll put it up. Okay, that's the equatorial mount. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's the equatorial mount that it's referred to as a NEQ6 Pro. It supports about 20 kilogram, maximum of 20 kilogram load. So essentially that's one very big telescope, or perhaps 2 smaller scopes piggyback. Here's another shot of it inside. That is inside the dome, but here's one that's a bit wider angle. And you can see in that picture there the concrete pier at the in the middle of the dome. The 600 millimetre long pier that I've bolted to the concrete, and that was a trick and a half because I didn't allow. There's still too much audio there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't allow for well, I used chemical bolts, and it's the first time I've done that. And when you use a chemical bolt, you've got to over drill the size of the hole. So there are 8 millimetre chemical bolts, anchor bolts, but you've got to drill a 10 millimetre hole. So the bolts just literally fall into the hole and don't. There's no anchoring except for what the glue offers. There's a special mix of glue. And you've only got 6 minutes to play with before it sets pretty quick. So I marked the holes in the concrete pretty well, and I drilled right on the dots that I marked, and essentially that was okay, I think. But the problem was when I put the glue in and put the bolts down inside, the glue oozed out the sides, and I had to clean it all up. And even just cleaning the little bit of smear, the little bit of film on the concrete pier was drying, and it left marks. But what I'm saying is I should have put the pier on top of those bolts and positioned the bolts so they sat firmly in the holes of the pier, and left it like that until it all set. But I figured, no, it'll be right. And of course, when the glue set well and truly within 60 minutes, I went to put the pier on top of the bolts, and practically none of them went through the holes very easily. So I had to drill the holes a little bit wider. That basically fixed the problem up, but pity that I had to do that. But also the same for the adapter plate. There's an adapter plate that the equatorial mount sits on, and the provided screws that came with the adapter plate so that the equatorial mount could mount properly didn't go through the bottom of the actual pier itself, so I had to widen those holes a little bit with a slightly larger drill. So a little bit of drilling needed, but at the end of the day, it's securely bolted to the concrete pillar, and I can jump up and down in that dome, and the whole dome vibrates and goes for a shake and whatever, but none of that vibration is transferred through to the telescope, and that's the whole idea. To isolate the telescope from the pier, from the rest of the environment, so when it comes to doing photography, there's no chance of vibration being transferred through to the exposures. But there it is. It's about $2,800 worth of motor drive there. And like I say, it's exclusively for telescopes, of course. There's a special dovetail type mount at the top there, and it's designed to rotate both in declination and right ascension at the same time. So it can track any celestial object in regards to the Earth's rotation, and it also has the ability to be able to track things like the International Space Station if it goes over, or it does go over, but when it goes over. So that's the latest, and what I'm trying to do right now is establish communications with it. I've got two Cat 5 or Cat 6 fully shielded Cat 6 cables that go from that little white box at the side of the pier, just next to the bottom there. That's main supply as well as an Ethernet connection, and that travels 60 metres underground up to the barn and the astronomer's room. So anyway, I'm hoping that I can completely remote everything. So from a computer screen, I should be able to get this motor drive running and following any object, and the dome will move as the telescope moves. The dome will automatically move as well, so that the aperture in the dome follows the telescope. And there'll be sensors. I haven't quite installed the sensors yet. There's a hydrometer inside the dome sensor, but there are a couple of other sensors that I want to include on the outside that detects rain, moisture, and cloud cover. So if I'm doing a series of long exposures throughout the night, and it decides to cloud over, meaning that's the end of the observation, and I'll probably be asleep when that happens, the system will sense the cloud cover and or if it's raining, any slightest moisture, and it'll shut down the system, close the aperture, and prevent any rain getting in. It can be all automatic. So yeah, looking forward to getting that all finally up and running. And you can see in this shot the Celestron telescope on the tripod. So I want to get rid of the tripod, and that Celestron telescope, it's an 8-inch Celestron. It's mounted on a fork arrangement, which is then mounted on a computer controlled system. But I want to defork that telescope, what they refer to as deforking, and get what they call a dovetail mount, and mount the dovetail on the side of the telescope, which will mount on top of the equatorial mount. So I can get rid of this whole arrangement with the tripod and the current mount, and the Celestron telescope can be mounted on that. So there's 3 telescopes I've got, and the Celestron is one. It's a Schmidt-Cassegrain type telescope. All right, I think that's about it. I haven't got it here with me. It's still sitting in the car, but I have picked up the dish from ICOM last week, the dedicated 10 gigahertz dish. I think we've all seen what one of those look like, and I think we all know how much they cost. So anyway, it's currently sitting on the driver's seat in the car, but I was going to bring that in and flash it around, but we'll do that maybe next week. So that's essentially all I've got to really show and tell tonight. In the meantime, I'll throw it back to Neil. Thank you, Neil, for doing it again. Excellent job. Your little microphone thingy is working extremely well. So I can hear you, and I think it's in sync, and it's doing very well indeed. I was going to also get those other microphones I showed last week, but they were flat, and I've only just got sitting on the charger right now, so I'll wait until they're fully charged and we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, there's no ASV broadcast this Friday. I made that announcement last Friday in the beginning and at the end of the session, and because it's a public holiday and because it's footy, I've decided to have a day off, a Friday night off, so there won't be any ASV broadcast this Friday, despite the advertisement that Richard ran. So thanks for doing that, Richard, anyway. Otherwise, we'll be doing the WI cast on Sunday as normal. And all I can say is may your footy team win. I'll be watching the grand final. I always generally watch the grand final, but it'll be just another footy game as far as I'm concerned. And God knows why they've got Snoop, what is it? Snoop Pup, or whatever it is. I don't know why he's there. Stupid idea, really. But that's enough of that. So, across to you there, Neil. VK3PCU to take it, or switch across to RTV2. This is VK3CSJ Narry Warren South. Cheers, guys. Take care.
Right, thanks for that, Clint. I've got audio. Very, very interesting. I look forward to seeing the actual thing operating when you get it going, hopefully fairly soon. Now, as I said, this is the DJI microphone. I'm reversed. And that's actually being held on by a magnet at the moment, but it does have a little clip. And there is the actual DJI camera. DJI Osmo 3, which probably a few people are familiar with. And if I press the right button, you'll see what it looks like with a bit of luck. Here we go. So that's what the DJI Osmo 3 looks like. So if I can get it to work, because it's live TV, there's my little control desk there. Not as good as Ian's, but what can you say? Yeah, so that's the DJI Osmo 3. Okay. Some people may find that interesting. Okay, if you're ready, Mick, VK3CH. Now I'm on S. Sorry, I'm on T. So it should be a very, very nice, clean cutover. So Mick, if you take it, hand it across to John, and then back to me. So take it away, Mick.
Okay, that's quite quick. Now, hang on. I remember to put the microphone near me. And I think got enough audio, so there you go. I'll jack that up a bit. All right, good evening everyone. Mick, VK3CH, operating out of Doncaster, and we're about 11 and a bit from the repeater. I think about 11 and a half, not sure. Okay, actually printed stuff out so I remember what to say. Now tonight, it's like Bohemian Rhapsody. We're going to have tales of duty, frustration, sorrow, fear, joy, and then back to frustration. So let's make a start. All right, first one, duty. We went across to the Radio Amateur Old Timers Club last Thursday, and they had a presentation and they asked us to do the recording of that, so there's yours truly doing the recording. Now, I'm quite sure there are people either actively working or retired in the television industry which could easily do this, but as people have said to me, well, they do it for a living, so they're sick of it. They'd rather be drinking beer and chatting to their mates. So I've ended up doing it. Only trouble is, when I film that, I can't be drinking beer and chatting to people, so that's sort of the trade-off. So there you go. I'll put the recording up to YouTube, but I've emailed it to one person who's got to email it to the person that does it. So it'll be a while till it's actually on the ROTC website. But it is up on YouTube right now. So I suppose if you just Google VK3CH, the last thing to be published there, it will be there, but I'm sure they'll have the link on their website quite soon. Okay, second on the list is frustration. A few days ago we had a headlight go on the car, not the big main one, just the driving around one, low beam. So looked up in the book what size it is, go to Autobarn, wander in, I want one of these. Oh yeah. Are you a member? No. All right, well that's going to be $40 something, but if you're a member you get a discount. And I said, oh yeah, what's the discount? And he says, oh, $33. I thought $33 for a light globe sounds a lot. And then I've looked up what some of the light globes do cost. Some of them are up to like to $300 for these new fandangled LED things. But anyway, so I thought, all right, save money. Okay, how do I join up then? Can I join up now? And he goes, oh yes, yes. What's your first name? I knew the answer to that question. What's your last name? I had to think about that for 1 second longer. What's your email address? Here we go. Okay, so I told him the honest one. Foolish me. So I get the discount, walk out, change the globe. After a bit of angst, tight spots, but we worked it out. Within 2 days, 3 emails from Autobarn, so I might be deleting the email account soon. The first one was a welcome email, and then some sales on, and then, it's the school holidays, take advantage of this, so I think I'm going to be annoyed. Alright, we'll move on. This one's sorrow, and believe me, it is sorrowful. Okay, as you would have seen last week, we had the 5.7 gigahertz transverter, and that was nearing completion, and the last job to do was set the levels, just so you're not over driving it. When I transmit it up, there's 2 LEDs, one for your VSWR and one for the RF drive levels. No matter what I did, it was very strongly red. So I thought, well, I don't want that. I don't want to hurt anything inside it. So I thought, well, I'll adjust the levels. And of course, to get to the trim pots, you've got to take the covers off. Now, it's not in the room at the moment. It's outside in the car. How I've bonded it to the pipe is I've put 2 pop rivets in the back cover. And then, of course, the screws are on the other side. And it's in between that and the, what do you call them? Wi-Fi aerial thing you would have seen, the white plastic thing. So it's in between the 2. And I did that deliberately so as the pole gets lied flat, it's not there to get struck and whacked. So, if you're transporting in the car and something lies on top of it or hits it, it's in between the things, it's protected. Pretty much the same way I did the 3.4 gig build on the pipe. So of course, to take it off and get access to the trim pot, I've got to take off all the 4 screws and leave that plate on. That means that everything on that side is exposed. And of course I've got to take the other cover off, because that's the side where the trim pots are. So both sides are exposed. So of course it's just hanging on the wires. So as you're adjusting with the trim pot, it moves a little bit around. And of course right behind it is the metal pole. Can you see where this story's leading? Okay. I'll show you. That's the side with the trim pot. And let's see, it's that one there. I can remember because I've done it so many times. And you just have a jeweler's screwdriver, no big deal. So you're adjusting that, and as you're talking on signal sideband, you're going for the majority green. It can flicker a little bit of red and orange like a VU meter, but you want predominantly orange, green. So this is the other side. These 3 resistors, well, I thought they were resistors, was on the other side. Well, while I was adjusting it, the wind or something grabbed it, and I heard a little noise, The thing didn't work anymore. So I assumed the worst, and I was correct. Dead. Totally dead. $550, possibly of destruction. So, yeah, that's the side that hit the pole. So I very sadly said a few words, which we're not allowed to, our licenses let us to say on air, but I'm sure your imagination serves you well. So go in, tap out an email to the guy in Bulgaria, Histrin, telling the story of what I think's happened, and, you know, when he wants to work out the fault, that's what's touched the, you might be hearing this through the TV, I'll turn that down a bit, that these resistor leads, you know, what might be wrong with it. And I was looking up, you have to do electronic lodgement now with custom stuff. And I was looking at the drop-down list. First of all, you pick your countries, and Bulgaria was there. Then there's a drop-down list, describe the item. And so I thought, oh, you know, two-way radio or radio transmitter or something. And when I picked anything to do with a transmitter, there's a red box down the bottom saying, warning, the item as descripted may have restrictions on importing to the desired country. So I thought, oh, maybe I have to call it hobby board or something. So I thought on the email I'll say to him, okay, I've blown it up. What do I call it so that it's not going to get confiscated by customs? Because in the past I've returned 2 boards, SR Systems boards, to Germany. They've gone missing, no compensation, nothing. They've just disappeared en route. SR Systems never got them. So to add insult to injury to a defective board, you pay about, I don't know, $50 or $100 to post it back to Germany, and then they lose it, and there's no payout. So anyway, so I thought, you know, trying to do my due diligence. Anyway, I didn't hear from him for about 2 days, and I know he's busy. I suppose it's a case of, you know, if you're spending your time reading emails, you're not building products. So he must just sort of pick a day when he goes email. Anyway, I get an email back, and it basically says, oh yeah, sorry to hear that. The things that you think are resistors are not resistors. They're RF chokes, all 3 of them. And he goes, one of them, the big one, is the DC input. It filters the DC before it goes to the rest of the circuitry. If you're lucky, maybe that was the one that touched, and maybe only that's blowing up. And I thought, oh yeah, I like the sound of that. So I got out my test meter, and he said in the email, oh, you know, it should be about 1 ohm or so. So I get out the test meter, put my leads across the, what I thought was a resistor, completely open circuit. Okay, is it just that, or was there enough microsecond time before it died and something's been hurt further on? So anyway, another email back to him because he didn't elaborate. How important is the value of this choke? You know, because I looked it up on JCar, it didn't have the exact same value. And he goes, oh no, look, he could wind a few bits of wire around a toroid. You can go up or down in value. It's not too critical, just to sort of filter out the RF. So I go to JCar and buy packets of 10 of these RF chokes. Cost me $9.10, I think. So 91 cents a choke. And he also said, oh, you know, the transverter pulls about 1.6 amps on transmit. And I noticed on the JCar specs that their RF chokes have a maximum current capacity of 670 milliamps. So I thought, well, if you talk hard on sideband, or if you use FM and do a constant carry, you're probably going to blow the thing up again. So I thought what I'll do is I'll put 4 in parallel. So I looked up the circuitry for chokes, I mean the theory behind it, and yeah, it's like resistors in parallel, you know. If I got 3.3 micro Henrys, and parallel by 4 they divide down to, near enough to what the value he had in there. So, twisted them together. Let's see if I click this. So that's the one there. I think you can see the mouse. That's the one that blew up. Although it didn't look blown up until I removed it. They're 3.3 microhenry inductors, but they look like resistors to me. But anyway, and when I did pull the one out, when I turned it over on the bottom, you can see the hole there where it has gone split, and you can see what looks like an inductor winding in there. And then, as you can see there's my 4 lots of inductors in parallel, and they've been sort of squashed down a bit. I made damn sure that they were clear of that metal bottom, and I got a ruler on the top, a steel ruler, and gently put it across the top to make it utterly damn sure it was going to be clear of the metal case. We're paranoid now. So then the trick was to take that back outside to the car and turn the 905 on with no antenna so I can listen to myself, and then put the IC 705 as the modulator driver RF exciter into it. So with a very heavy heart, and was this the problem? Is it going to work? So I plugged the Anderson plug in, and momentarily the top LED glue red for 3 seconds, which is normal. So I thought, okay, that's a good start. Pick up the microphone, talk on single sideband, and I heard myself on the 905, but it sounded like really horrible. And I thought, okay, so I haven't blown it up. Well, I haven't blown it up, it's working, but it's like all distorted and horrid. So I thought, oh, what's wrong now? And I thought maybe I've got to increase the drive level, because now instead of it glowing red, it was glowing orange, the input LEDs saying, not enough kick. So I had to turn the radio right up to flat light. I had it on 40%, only 40% output, because that was just perfect for the 3.4 gigs. So I want to marry it, so that it's 40% for both. So what I've worked out now is I have to pull the thing apart again. This time with the back cover on. I'll put the other one on the back, and just adjust the trim pot to a bit of feed. To prove that, I put both radios on FM, and when I spoke, beautiful, perfect audio, no problem. So when I put it back to single sideband and wound the 705 all the way up, the sideband sounded quite natural, and it was nearly flicking green. Yeah, okay. So that's the story there. So the happy ending is it didn't die, but for a couple of days there till he replied my email, and he told me in the evening, of course, I had to lie awake all night waiting for JCar to open, saying, I hope this is it, I hope this is it. So yeah, we didn't cook $550, so that was very good. So joy again. Now back to frustration. There's a microwave activity day this Sunday, but there's a family gathering happening on the XYL side, which we're going to, which of course means the car will be there, which means Nomad for Sunday to try out the new toy. So I might get across to a high street near Shoppingtown and just do a test with Rob VK3IE, just to make sure that it does sound better, because of course listening to yourself on the 905 point blank away, while it sort of says it's going, I'd rather have a longer distance test just to prove that it's good. Alright, so that's the whole story with that. What else have we got? Oh, my Baofeng programming cable turned up in the mail. I haven't used it yet. Well, actually, I plugged it into the computer because I've heard that some of these you know, they've got a chip in it, and some Windows isn't compatible with all these chips, and my computer's happy with it. So I plugged it into the radio and just did a read of the radio, and yes, it all matches, but I haven't bothered programming any specific frequencies into it yet. All right, now the last thing that I showed you, me and the missus visit a friend of hers who's got dementia, so it's sort of the same thing every day, every time we see her. But she went to school at a summer school in Yungaburra in Queensland, and I was reading her analecta, and here's some of the rules in 1915 that the women teachers had to have. So it's during the contract with the school, so you're not allowed to marry during the term of your contract. You won't keep the company of men. You must be home between the hours of 8 and 6 unless attending a school function. You must not loiter downtown in ice cream parlours. Now I should be able to grab this, but why can't I? Why? Oh well, I think you can read it there. Not allowed to hang around in the ice cream parlours. That must have been the only thing in the town at the time. So you can't travel beyond the city limits without the permission of the chairman of the board. You can't ride in a carriage or automobile with any man unless he is your father or brother. Started to sound like the Taliban. You can't smoke cigarettes. Can't dress in bright colours. Can't dye your hair. You have to have at least 2 petticoats under your dress, and it can't be any more than 2 inches above the ankles. And to keep the schoolroom clean, you've got to mop the, scrub the floor at least once a week, clean the backboard once a day, and you've got to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning in the winter to light the fire so the room's warm by 8 o'clock. So as it says up in the top there, would today's teachers put up with this? So yeah, there you go. I thought that was pretty interesting. I wouldn't have believed it unless you show me. It was in the analecta book that they had back then with all the school pictures and photos in it. So there you go. All right, that's about all my news. So yeah, happy ending. No blowing up transverter. So yeah. So yeah, just a test with Rob. And then, so I'm missing the MAD for this month, but there's another MAD at the end of October. Plus with grand final weekend and everything else, there's probably people attending barbecues or stuff, I don't know. So I'll happily wait till the October one. All right, that's my news. I've probably rabbited on way too long. All right, I'll put it, I'm handing it over to VK3RTV, I believe, if he's going to pick it up. So I'm transmitting on T. My phone just went ting. Wow. Okay. Someone I know is watching. All right. So yeah, John, I'll drop off. I'm on T. So yeah, so finishing up on some good news, but I suppose I shouldn't have caused the news in the first place. I should have just had the cover on the back, but of course you always think, oh, this will only take a few seconds, she'll be right, mate. So yeah, all my fault. Okay, over to John. Cheers, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. John VK3RTV in Williamstown. Transmitting DVB S2 tonight. Actually got my DATV Express working again, and so I'm using that. So that is DVB-S2 transmitter. So that's back in the rack here, and operational again. So Richard was talking about the DVB-T, the high des transmitter. So I will just give you a look at that transmitter. I've got a few photos, so I'll put that up. But really, all the electronics work I've done this week is to get the ATV Express to work again. So just have to make sure I've got audio again, which I have. So this is the high des box that Richard showed before. In the case that I've got it in the 19-inch rack cabinet. So there's not much to it. There's just the DVB-T exciter, the high des unit. There's a amplifier, which is a Bert Moderman amplifier, and that's about I think that's a 2.5 watt version, and that's all I run into my antenna. So that's enough to get me into the repeater. So just a few connectors on the back there. I've used an old Philips power supply case to build it into, because it had good heat sinking. And I put a fan on the top. You can see the heat sinking on that with the fan, and that keeps it quite cool. The switches on the front and LED indication of the DATV Express actually working. I've put another couple of LEDs on that since I built that. And there's a UART to connect to the unit, and that comes with it when you purchase it. And I've got that sitting underneath the box. So, and then there's just a couple of switches on it. So it's fairly simple system to get onto ATV. Just the UART, the exciter, and the amplifier. So you've just got a few connectors on the back just for RF and power and HDMI in. So all you need to do is get a HDMI source, run that directly into the high des exciter, and there's USB control for the software, which you don't actually need to operate it, just to you can check, and I'll show that to you shortly. So that's the unit. There's really not much to getting the high des up and working, and you probably can't see that all that well, but that's the control software for the high des, and it's really just configuration software. You don't need to access that software at all unless you want to adjust the transmitter levels or set the initial configuration. So Yeah, very simple. Probably the simplest way to get on air. The DATV Express wasn't simple, and that's not really available anymore. So that's not really really an option for you to get on air. So I've got the iDesk for DVB-T. I've got the DATV Express for DVB-S, and I've also, if you've been watching, I've been playing with the ports down 4. I have managed to get all the way through to getting camera or getting HDMI video into the ports down 4, and I can run that. I can take it out of my directly out of the camera or out of the PC through the through the mixing software. So I'm using a HDMI to AV converter. I'm then running that into the dongle that goes into the ports down 4 USB port. So that works, but unfortunately I've got a bit of an audio issue with it, so I don't think the Pluto is really managing very well. So I think I'm going to have to either resort to a line SDR or just use the Pluto for some simplex work on lower symbol rates. So that's what I've been doing here. I haven't got much else to show you this week, but we're probably running close to time anyway. So that's it from me tonight. So I'm running DVB-S, Neil. So if you're on T, there'll be a bit of a delay in handing over. So thanks everyone for watching. Good to see there's a few people around. There's obviously a bit of a struggle to get some ATV operators up each week, and I know I've been guilty of not being available very often, but hopefully we can get some more people on air. If not on the net, just at any time, just to have a chat through the repeater. So if you're interested, contact any one of us, and we'll find somebody to help get you on air. So thanks everyone for watching. This is John, VK3RTV in Williamstown. Good night, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Right, thanks John, and all good work on showing everyone how you can get onto amateur TV the easy way. Of course there is another way, using a DVB-T domestic modulator and upconverting, which I have made, and I think I have shown it before, but I am currently using either the SR systems, which I'm on right now, or the ports down, sorry, the hides. I have the ports down, also I have a upconverted modulator, which I think a few of you people have seen before. So I did show you this microphone before. Here's the desktop charger for it. The smallest desktop charger you've ever seen in all your life. Amazing. Anyway, just thought I'd show that, just to break it up a bit. So a little tiny desktop charger and USB-C. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. We maxed out at about 21. We still have 21 people watching. So that's great. That's really, really good. Really happy with that turnout. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you'll tune in next week. Peter should be back next week, and hopefully we'll have a few more stations. So it's been a really great net. So we'll see you all next week.